So living in Houston, I'm assuming that, I saw Pantera all through the club days. I bought their first album in '83. So I'm assuming you go that far back with Pantera?
They are family to me. They are family.
And you go back to, say, what year?
1988, when our first record came out. Sam Taylor, our manager, his brother had a music store in Dallas. I think it was Arlington. And Pantera had a record came out same time. And so he brought Pantera and King's X down to his in-store, and we had a signing. Now, Pantera is a power metal had just come out, so it wasn't on a major label. But we were on Atlantic at the time. And so they put us together, and that's when we met. And at that point, from then till now, we've been in each other's lives continually, to each other's shows, to hanging out, to parties, to everything, The stories Rex would tell me, his King's X stories, and how they listened to us, and, how me and Jerry used to listen to Pantera all the time, and Ty, we were all just in awe of each other, and it was a great time.
What year did you move to Texas?
85.
And you were aware of the band even before you met them?
No, I know that Ty had said that they had played Houston a couple times before that, and I think he had gone to see him. But Ty's not the guy to go up and band and hang out with him. He'll go watch a band and take off with his friends. And I'm the kind of guy that'll just hang out. I just like musicians, and I'll just stay there till the door closes, talking gear and stuff. But I never met him until that in-store. And when they would come to Houston, I would always go see them, and I'd go upstairs and hang out with them after the show. And every time we played, they came to see us. And they had their favorite songs. I remember one time we were playing, and Vinnie walked up to the front of the stage with a piece of paper that said Summerland and slammed it on right at my feet, and walked back to the bar and kept on drinking. The place was full of people. It was so cool. Dime used to come down front and just bang with everybody else for a couple of songs, and then he'd leave because the kids wouldn't leave him alone. I remember one time we were playing in Canada at some club, and we were in the middle of the set, and all of a sudden we see this ruckus, and the whole band plows through all these kids and comes right down front and rocked out with us for a couple of songs and left. So it was we had good times. And I remember one time I went to see them, and I was right down front watching them, and they started playing over my head. It was like brutal. It was so badass.
Yeah, they'd usually pull somebody up. Even back in those days, they, I know, were friends with Kerry King and even the guys from Keel, if you remember that band.
Yeah, they've drugged me on stage. One time Rex drugged me on stage and said, "Listen to my rig." He had a new rig, and he wanted me to hear it. This is in the middle of the set. And I'm standing inside behind the PA, and he grabs me and says, "Listen." And I'm going, "I can hear it." I said, "Sounds good." He says, "No." And he grabbed my arm while he's playing one note, and pulls me out there in front of the whole crowd and said, "Listen." And I turned around and listened, and I was drunk. And then he turns around to me. He's still playing. He walks up to me and he says, listen, I'm ripping you off. Listen." And we both just cracked up laughing. And when they did this break and the music stopped, he just kind of gave me a kiss on the cheek. And then I went back and almost passed out in front of his rig, and I sat there until the rest of the show was over. And I remember one time they were playing in Germany, and I was doing interviews for my solo record. Metal Blade had sent me out there, and they had played one night, so I went to the show by myself in Germany. I didn't know where I was going, but I got them to get me a driver. And I went, and they got me so drunk that I remember I was laying underneath the monitor board on the side, watching the band rocking out. I couldn't even stand up. I was so drunk. And somebody kept bringing me beer. It was, with those guys, it was one complete, endless, drunken party. I could tell you stories and story upon story.
I always liked it and there's video of it out there, but where he had Darrell had the breathalyzer, and he'd go around checking people, and he'd be like, no, you gotta take another shot.
I never saw that one, but I do believe it, because that is what Dime would do. I miss those guys. Vinnie came to see us right before, about a month or so before he passed away, and just after the show came up, and just told us how much we meant to Dime, because Dime really, really loved King's X, and Vinnie wanted us to know. And we just had a moment. It's really cool.
I was going to say, you might have had an influence on Rex. I know at the power metal era, still was holding his bass kind of high. And And he dropped
Rex says that I'm his mentor.
He did drop it super low, when Cowboys came out. So
I didn't realize that, because I always used to say to him, "You are the coolest looking bass player I ever seen." I said, "You hold the bass perfect."
Had you,
awesome. Something else that happened during that time was that when King's X came out, all those metal bands had double basses and they had those huge drum sets. And about a year and a half later, almost everybody was playing with a smaller kit like John Bonham, like Jerry had. And I talked to a lot of drummers who said to me, like Shannon Larkin told me with Godsmack, he said, "Dude," he said, "when I saw Jerry doing that stuff with one kick drum, I went home and I said, I got rid of my other kick drum. I said, fuck that. Let's get back to reality here." And I really believe that Jerry did affect a lot of drummers in that way.
Although I think Vinnie always kept a double.
Well, no, don't get me wrong. Vinnie brought it back. I think Vinnie brought it back because it was 88 till when, and then Pantera came out. Like, it was later on in the 90s where Vinnie brought it back in a whole new way. And which was really cool because everybody got a break.
Your thoughts on the Pantera reunion or celebration or whatever it's going to be?
I have to say it this way. It's none of my fucking business. And whatever happens, I will be there and I'll support them.
Do you still talk to those guys at all?
Yeah, I have not talked to anybody since this has been announced, even to Charlie and Zach. And I mean, I know everybody. And I don't want to. It's none of my business. Yeah, I really feel that. And even if I had an opinion, doesn't matter. It's almost like it's just something for everybody to gossip about. And actually, it's great publicity, for sure. But I'm not there. I wasn't in the room when they talked about it. I'm not around any of them in that capacity where I'm in the business side of it. So, that's how I look at it. I just take the fifth.